Greetings everyone. Today we're continuing to explore graphing quadratics. Now, we have already had a video just on tables. We're good to go. We've also had a video where we included graphs. We're good to go. And today we are adding the element of solving. Now, you have solved quadratics. You have solved by either factoring or quadratic formula. Now, there are other ways to solve, but in our class for Algebra 1, we're going to stick to these two options. Now, what's cool is when we're doing these quadratics, I don't care which option you choose if I don't specify, meaning if you want to use quad formula for all of them, go for it. If you want to try factoring and if you can't factor then do quad formula, that's another option. Make sure for this video you're on the correct notes. If you haven't watched or don't have the notes for the previous, please back up in my YouTube playlist. So first and foremost, quick review. There are 4 ways that you can factor, and sometimes we do 3 of these in one try. Don't forget, sometimes it's as simple as a GCF, but always check for a GCF and then see if you have difference of squares, a is 1 or a is greater than 1, and possibly grouping. You have to be confident in all of those areas of factoring. If the function is not factorable, then you will absolutely have to use quadratic formula. All of these have their own videos. So when I go to solve, I'm going to go pretty quickly through that process. So what do the solutions mean? When we're solving, what are we doing? The solutions are, and this is very important, here's how we're connecting it. Your solutions are where the graph crosses the x-axis, meaning they are our x-intercepts. Now, there are multiple vocabulary words that mean the same thing. Solutions are synonymous with zeros, are synonymous with roots, are synonymous with x-intercepts. So what's the difference? Well, it depends on what you're asked for. If I, and as I did in the last unit, ask you to solve, it's just a quick x equals. That's an answer, a solution. But if I ask you for the x-intercept, I'm asking you for what's the value comma 0. X-intercept's a point, okay? Now, zeros and roots, you have to understand those words. We're not going to use them as much in Algebra 1. We're going to stick to solutions and x-intercepts the most. So let's tie everything together. Technically, you've done every part of this previously. We're putting it all together. So if I go back to my day 1 video, day 1 was opposite b. First of all, it's in standard form. We're good to go. Opposite b over 2a. I'm going to zoom through this pretty quickly. That gets me a middle value of a half. If you're not sure where I'm getting these values from, see that video. We're going to plug these values in. Now, you could pause, you could fast forward, do what you need to do, but I'm going to find those y values. Apologize, I'm trying to fit, and so that's why my writing is a little worse than normal. You're used to it now, though. Plug in those x values that we chose strategically. And I'm not going to spend time going through how I'm getting these solutions because you can straight use your calculator, okay? I'm jumping around a little bit. Ooh, let's see what happens here. Oops, sorry, there's an error I already saw because I wasn't getting the pattern I want. I'm calculating these as I go through them with you. And this middle one, again, you guys just straight use your calculator. Use parentheses. I'm literally typing it in right now myself because I just don't want to think about it. And I don't have to because I'm going to get my answer of negative 6.75. All right, the second video in our series was plotting these on the graph. So I'm just going to take care of that. And the goal was we better get a parabolic shape for each of these. Now when you graph 1/2 and negative 6.75, in my previous video we had one where we were in the box, that's all right. Oops, you can graph better than I can with my tablet, my apologies. And today what we're adding is the element of solving. So my first thought about solving this is, I see a GCF, like this might be factorable, right? If you want to jump into quad formula every time, you can always use quad formula. But I'm going to see, if I was to divide out a 3, oh, this is factorable. Okay, let's factor. XX, my factor tree is 2 and 1, and has to be a -2 and a +1. Perfect. Now, if you're like, why are you going so fast? I'm lost. That's because you need to see my solve by factoring video. In my solve by factoring video, we say that if there's no variable, we don't need the GCF. And if we solve these little mini equations, we have this. And now what's most important to what I want to see is, how did those solutions exist, those solving pieces? 2, 0 is my x-intercept and it's my solution. -1, 0 is my x-intercept and it is also my solution. Your answers should be visible on your graph. If they aren't, then something's wrong. So I know I'm good. I showed my work, I solved it, and the answers that I got exist on my graph. So I know I'm on the right track. All right, let's try another one. Opposite b over 2a. Again, I'm zooming through that because that's old news. You can spend time on my previous video if you need. Now here's where you might want to slow down. That's a -1 out front. I would encourage you to put a -1 out front because we're not squaring the -1. It's a factor out front. Okay, so be very careful with that and how you type that in your calculator, if you're using a calculator, of course. I'm going to stick to the 0 because it's always 0. 1 squared is 1 times -1 is -1 plus 9. 4, -4 plus 9. -1 plus 9. -4 plus 9, right? So be careful with that calculation. If you're not getting what I'm getting, slow down, try your calculator again. In our second part of this series, we plotted our dots, and the goal was to get a nice, pretty shape. All right, we connected our dots, we drew a parabolic shape. All right, here's what's new today. We want to try and solve. Okay, you could jump into quad formula, feel free, but I feel like this is almost factorable, so I'm going to set it equal to 0. I have a GCF of -1. Difference of squares should be easy for you guys. X and X, 3 and 3, and if it's a minus, then it's difference of squares. Perfect. See my solving by factoring video if you are struggling. This should be fast. This does not get me a solution. This gets me a -3. This gets me a +3. So what we're saying today is these should be on my graph, are they? Is -3, 0 and 3, 0 on my graph? Meaning I found my x's and I plugged in 0 for y. Let's see, if I was to plot -3, 0 and 3, 0. Does that match? Yes, I can extend my graph because they would go through those dots. It makes sense. So even if they're not part of your table or not initially on your graph, if you were to extend, they should be. They should make sense, and they do. All right, let's try another one. I'm going to go kind of quick. Opposite b over 2a. That's a -1. Perfect. I'm going to zoom. Yep, I know this is the most writing you have to do though. So if you're like, Mortfet, we're writing so much, I know, but this is actually still less writing than a lot of our previous tasks because it's just repetitive over and over again. That makes it nice and easy. I'm going to take care of the zeros first. 1 plus 2 is 3 minus 1. Let me jump to the top. 9 minus 6 is 3 minus 1. 4 minus 4 minus 1. 1 minus 2 is -1 minus 1. So again, if you need to slow down there or pause and check your answers, please do so. And in our second video, we plotted. We got our parabolic shape. Perfect. Now, let's talk about what's new today. I'm going to solve this, right? But do I know where these cross the x-axis? I don't, right? Like that's an in-between value. That might be a fraction. It might be a fraction. And so my first thought is I kind of think I could factor this, right? And so don't write this down yet. Don't write this down yet if you're listening. You're going to be happy you're listening. Because if I try to factor, 1 and 1 gave me a 2, yes, but if it's negative, it has to be positive negative, and that doesn't work. If it doesn't factor, I'm forcing you, well, not forcing you, but making you use quad formula. See my quadratic formula video if I'm going too fast. The quadratic formula's opposite b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Let's deal with the radicand first. I like to write just above it. That's a 4. A negative times a positive times a negative is a positive. 4 times 1 is 4. That gets me the square root of 8. Okay, that reduces down to 4 and 2. Yep, I'm zooming. I know, because if you need to slow down, then slow down. I like to write each piece over its own denominator. That's in my previous video. Here's what we got. -1 plus or minus 1 square root of 2. Because 1 and 1, yeah? That's my x equals. So how do I make sense of that on my graph? Look how you can write this. All x-intercepts can be written as the solution, comma 0. I know that looks weird. Let's take a moment to type that in your calculator. -1 plus 1 square root of 2. I don't really need that front one. It gives you a crazy decimal. My first crazy decimal, if I do a plus sign, it says 0.414 and more decimals, right? I don't need them all. Let's do the opposite, -1 minus the square root of 2. Well, that gets me a -2.414. Here's how we make sense of it. Does it look like I cross at -2.4? Sure does. Does it look like I cross at like 0.4? Sure does. So even though I don't know where I exactly cross because of my picture, oops, I didn't mean to erase that, I'm close to where I should be. Okay, I'm close to where I should be. It checks out. And so I know that my crazy decimal is right. All right, let's try one more. Opposite b over 2a, that gets me a 5. So as much or as little work as you need. All right, quantity squared. We've got some big numbers here, but let's see what happens. Pause, fast forward, do what you need to do in order to fill in these notes effectively and efficiently. Big numbers mean plug it in your calculator. You guys, I can't stress this enough. You don't need to ask the questions about why a number is the way it is. We're past that. If you don't know your exponent rules, your PEMDAS rules, then don't show it. Just plug it in, okay? I'm going to straight plug some of these in. For example, now I sometimes do some of the mental math. So I'm going to start on the top row. 9 minus 30 plus 25. Maybe that's what you're typing in. You don't have to type all of it in. 4 squared, mental math, 16 minus 40 plus 25. See how that's easier to type in as you do it? And I'm getting nice values. 5 squared, 25 minus 50 plus 25, 0. 36 minus 60 plus 25. 49 minus 70 plus 25. Nice pretty values. Let's go plot those. Okay, we've got our parabolic shape from my second video. Okay, now because you graphed first, you have a hint. Look at your solutions. Look at your x-intercepts. Do I have a pretty one? I know I always say pretty. Yes, I have an integer. That would be the math way to say that. So what that means is this is factorable. Okay? Now, if you would rather use quad formula, please do so because you can. But also this factors perfectly. X factors of 25 that get me to 10 are 5 and 5. My signs have to be negative. And what happened in our solving unit is some of you said, wait, I got 5 twice. Do I have to write it twice or do I write it once? And I kind of told you it's up to you. Take a look at your x-intercepts. So let's talk about this relationship for a moment, please. This is important. If you get the same answer twice, it means you bounce off the x-intercept. See how I hit 5 and I bounce back off? If you have the same answer twice, that's because it's where you change direction. It's where the curve changes. That is a unique relationship. So when I said you can choose if you write it once or twice, I stick to that. But graphically, that's what it means. It means graphically we only have one x-intercept. That can happen. All right, that takes care of it, you guys. So again, this is a 3-part series. We had a video just about tables. We had a video where we added on graphs. And now we have a video where we add on solving. Everything you've done, we've just never done it all together. Okay? And so, yep, it's a lot. It is a lot. But it all combines to let you know you're doing it right. As always, make sure to check out Google Classroom. See what the task is at hand. Let me know if you have any questions. See my previous videos. And until next time, have a good one.